This time last year, when the pandemic really began to kick off in Europe and especially in the UK, my life changed massively, as I think everybody's did. But for me at that point, I was in full prep for the Olympic Games in Tokyo. I was in quite a good place coming off a really big block of training out in Australia, feeling like things were in place, ready to go ahead and hopefully have a really great summer. So then lockdown hits and the Olympics becomes postponed, and the goalposts haven't just been moved, they've been completely shifted into a different ballpark. I think as an athlete, you are naturally adaptable, you have to be. But this last year has really tested that to the absolute extreme. So I sat down with my coach, who's also my husband, and we kind of went through, well, what's the right thing to do here? How do we plan for this? And we decided that for me, we'd probably be best off using it as a time to just reboot. We never really get that time to just kind of sit back and just relax. We didn't feel like we had a huge amount to gain by pushing on really hard. It didn't feel like the responsible thing to do either, with the pandemic kind of raging throughout the UK. As much as it was a really challenging time, I just sort of took my foot off the gas in terms of training, knowing that when it was time, when the world started turning again, I'd be ready to really commit 100% to another Olympic push. Feels like we've hit a turning point, and if I look back on the last 4 or 5 months of training that I've been able to put together, I don't think if you told me in October I would get that training done, I would have believed you. Not with the situation that we've been put in, with all the lockdowns, with the restrictions on travel. So to be able to put together the training that I've done, the consistency I've been able to achieve over these last 4 or 5 months is beyond what I thought I would be able to do. I think when I look back at Rio and achieving that bronze medal, at the time I possibly didn't realise quite how significant that was. There are so many strong women who've come through our federation before me and are still coming through the federation now, that it seems almost unfathomable that we hadn't won one on the women's side before we got to Rio. So it is pretty cool, I think, that no matter what happens from here on in, no matter how many medals we go on to win, which I've full belief that we will as a federation going forward, I will always be the person who did it first. And it probably took me a really long time to accept that, to sort of understand that that was a really huge deal. And even just to really accept being an Olympic medalist, that was something that didn't feel real for a really long time. And now finally, possibly as my career is coming towards an end, I can look back at some of those major achievements I've had and just appreciate them all that little bit more. If I could have absolutely anything from Tokyo, I think the first is I'd love to have the prep that I had going into Rio. Going into Tokyo, I would love to feel that same way. I'd love to step on a plane and think, you know what, I've done everything I can do. I'm as fit as I can be, bring it on, whatever gets thrown at me, I'll deal with it. So that's the first thing. And then in an absolute dream world, I'd love to top it off with a gold medal. Somehow in Great Britain, we are a complete powerhouse of triathlon. We just must be tough, I guess. And we've got to this point where I think success breeds success. The ones coming through can look up to the girls at the top. So I like to think that I'm one of those, but the other 2 girls that I will be competing with in Tokyo, Jess Learmonth and Georgia Taylor-Brown, I'm hoping that these youngsters coming through are looking at us and thinking, well, if they can do it, we can do it too. And yeah, it seems to be a formula that's working really well for us right now. This last Olympics, for me, means something extra special. To go 3 times, to be able to come out with some kind of success, some kind of glory at the end of my career would just be the perfect way to finish it off. I'm really proud to be able to say that, I'm going to be a 3-time Olympian.